I just wanted to talk to everybody about combinations and how to build or plant a combination. One of the greatest and most fun things to do with plants is put them together in combinations so you can use them on your patio or deck or your front porch or really anywhere, and that you can put them in the garden. I mean, there's really no rules to how you can use combinations. But I love to put combinations together because you can build something that's really interesting, that's uniquely yours, and we have a lot of great plants in the program to do that. So let me talk to you about just some basic rules about putting a combination together. One is there are really three kinds of components in a combination planter, component plants. There are what we call the pillar plants. So they're the taller plants. Even this grass is kind of a pillar plant, but they're the ones that give you the height for the container. And then there are filler plants, and these are sort of the intermediate plants that you see in the center of the planting. And then we have what we call fillers, and they're the plants that spill over the sides and sort of give you that draped look in the container, breaking up the actual pot and sort of giving you those three dimensions in a container. So there's a couple other things that I think we should talk about here, and just so you guys have sort of the freedom to do these things. One is you don't have to build a planter just out of flowering plants. I mean, flowers are great, they give us a lot of nice color, but the other thing that I think is really outstanding in these planters is that we've used some different kinds of foliage, and we have some of these in the plant offerings, and they make, you know, they just make it more full, but they give you more texture and more interest in sort of big, bold splotches of color, which then are broken up with these more flowery offerings that give you those little pops of color. So I like to think of the foliage as a background to the really bright flowering plants that we put into the containers. So the other thing to keep in mind when you're putting a container together is, will this plant grow in the sun or will it grow in the shade? Because if you have a shaded deck, you don't want to put these plants that just love a lot of sun, and vice versa. If you have a full sun area, you don't want to put shaded plants there because they'll really struggle. One other thing, or a couple other things about containers would be they need to be watered on a regular basis. So they're not in the ground, they don't have the benefit of all the moisture in the ground. And what I tell people is when you water them in really, really good. Like take a milk jug and just pour it in there, kind of glug it on in there. Don't pour it in all at once or the water can just go through and out the bottom, but make sure you're saturating the soil completely. And some of these containers may need a couple gallons of water. The other great thing, and I use old milk jugs, gallon milk jugs, just put some fertilizer in there and shake it up and fertilize these things, I'd say a couple times a week, because again, you're watering a lot, you're flushing out all the nutrients in the soil, and these plants, all of these plants, really do like to be fed. You know, if you have a dog, you feed it like all the time. You don't just feed it once a month, or else it will not live long. And it's the same thing with a plant. Feed them on a regular basis, water them in really well, make sure they're in the right sun or shade, and then have some fun. Use some foliage, use some flowers. Don't forget, you've got pillars, your taller plants, fillers, the things sort of in the middle, and then spillers, the plants that go over the side. And it's so simple if you just follow those simple rules. So enjoy, use some of the plants we have to offer, and pot up a lot of nice mixed containers and beautify your area, your home, your patios, your decks with some great planters this year.